Well, you are just watching those 5 former officers leaving the courtroom. The judge deciding to set that next court date at August 18th. That will be for the discovery deadline, which is any more evidence in this case. The lawyers all agreeing that that judge or that date would work for them. Again, they were also talking about those separate motions that we were telling you about earlier about everything that's come out this week. 2 of the defendants wanting their trials separated from the others. The judge said that he will set those hearings at a later date after looking at all of those motions. So no word yet on exactly when that will be. They also talked about still setting another hearing for the discovery for all of the media coalition to see if we will be able to see any more of that video release. We know that the city released about 20 hours of that January 7th traffic stop where we saw Tyre Nichols, the beating of Tyre Nichols, being pepper sprayed as well. But the city says there are hundreds of hours worth of video. The media coalition has filed petitioning to see more of that. Judge said that he will look at that motion and make a hearing on that later on as well. But again, coming out of that courtroom, it lasted about 10 minutes from about 9:02. They just left about a minute ago from the courtroom, again saying that that next court date was August 18th.
Absolutely. Today's hearing was really a lot of housekeeping. It was a lot of housekeeping rules and just figuring out how they're going to prepare for trial. That's really what this was all about today. Jay Shakur is live inside of outside of the courtroom right now. Jay, what can you tell us from your end?
Yvonne, Aaron, today's hearing is the first hearing since February. This hearing was reset and rescheduled from May 31st. And as you mentioned, a lot of housekeeping, a lot of steps and movement as it concerns evidence. Now, we just saw the mother and the family of Tyre Nichols just walk out of the courtroom after the 5 former MPD officers walked out. As you mentioned, they have reset. They're going to move forward to August 18th. That's the deadline for evidence and discovery. Still no decision on that motion to release that 20-plus hour of video and those additional documents, as you mentioned, and going back to August 18th when they will appear again. Not clear if the 5 former officers will have to appear, but again, that hearing is about the completion of evidence and discovery. Back to you.
Jay, we see someone talking in our camera to the side. Can you get in on that and see? I don't know if it's a lawyer, but can we listen in on that? Do we have access to that? Lakita, I think, has that. Lakita?
My mind right there. A lot of anger, a lot of hurt, a lot of frustration. I gotta sit back and look over my mom, my sisters, going through it. And it's like, to just look at them, and they black men just like me. They got brothers just like me, and I just don't understand why they had to kill my little brother, why they couldn't show no remorse towards my brother. And now I gotta sit here and be the man with my mom, my sisters, and pretty much everybody else in my family. So it's like, it sucks, makes me very angry.
Jamal, we know you're from California. Is this your very first time sitting in on one of these court proceedings?
For my brother, yes. Yeah. Correct.
What was running through your mind?
Anger. A lot of anger. I've been very vocal about a lot of stuff. And it just, for me, I can be very strong at times, But it's just when my sister just breaks down crying right next to me, like they little brother, but they my babies too, So it hurts, and just seeing my mom just pretty much just really deteriorating still, So again, it shouldn't happen with no race, no colors at all, but just to see 5 black officers that I know they got brothers and sisters kill my little brother, that's beyond me.
I know was it intentional not to come, and why was today the day you decided I want to be here?
What you mean? I'm going to be here every one. I just didn't come to the other one because, I got kids back at home. So I'm a father first, too.
Can you spell your name and provide your age, please?
JAMAL DUPREE 36.
Jamal, what are some of the words if you had a chance to face these officers, these 5 former officers, what are some of the words you would have for them?
Why? What was the point? What was the reason? What did y'all gain out of this? you know, and that's just if I can say that, you know. I don't know. You can say a bunch of stuff like, oh, I'm gonna say this or I'm gonna do this or whatever, but when it's right there in front of you and, you know, it's not just my emotions that I gotta worry about. I gotta worry about theirs as well, you know? So it's like, I don't know what I would say, to be honest, at that time.
Yeah, we're gonna move next to his sister, Latoya.
Victoria, how are you?
I'm sad.
What did you think when you saw the officers today?
It just made me sad, disgusted. They look like me. They look like my brother. It's not something easy to digest. So just processing what's, going on.
How are y'all getting through it every day? I know it's hard.
No day is the same. We just try to be there for one another. Today is hard.
And we have his sister Kiana, who obviously was like a second mom to Tyre, that looked after her baby brother, and she's probably taking it the hardest today.
What would you just like to say to people to know about your brother?
Just want to know he was a good little brother, but just seeing them in real time and knowing what they did to him, they tortured him, they laughed at him, and just to see them in person and to know that I would never see my brother again because of him, it just really breaks my heart. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me ask you one thing. There's some more evidence that has not been released as far as video, and that's some of the things they're talking about in there today. Do you all think that should be released, that all of the video should be released?
Yes, we do believe so, but we're waiting on the district attorney's office to make those decisions on our behalf. All right, thank you all.
Thank you so much. We love you guys.
You were just hearing from the family of Tyre Nichols, his older brother Jamal Dupree, and his older sister. His older brother just saying how hard it was to be in that courtroom today. Now, we do have the attorney for Desmond Mills, one of the fired officers. We're going to listen in on what he had to say after today's court hearing.
I'm going to review it myself, review it with my expert, and see if we need to track down anything else.
I know a lot of people are probably wondering how long does it usually take to overlook something like this and then get whatever you need to go forward.
Now, you're not going to like this answer. It takes as long as it takes. So, all right, well, I appreciate it, guys, and look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks.
Again, that was Blake Ballin representing Desmond Mills Jr. Honestly, let's go back to the family. That's the first time we've heard, really, from Tyre's brother and sisters, Jamal, Toya, and Kiana.
Yeah.
And your heart breaks for that family every time you see them. You see Rovon Wells and Rodney Wells there, and it's going to be quite a long and lengthy trial. ADA Paul Hagerman, who's representing the state, who's the lead prosecutor, had mentioned that the evidence that they have is substantial evidence, and it's going to take time to go through all of that for the attorneys to look at that and to meet that deadline for August 18th.
Yeah, as you just heard Attorney Blake Ballin say, it will take as long as it takes. Are we able to go back to, okay, we're going to go there now to DA to hear what they have to say, and then maybe we can get an update on what Ballin had to say from Jay.
What's really left? What do you anticipate the defense really wanting?
So discovery is always a process. It's ongoing throughout the case, even up till trial. So it's always a process. We've turned over everything we have in our possession, which is over 1 terabyte, I think, of information. So it's been quite extensive, and TBI and people in my office and everybody have done really a great job getting a lot at all these defense attorneys in a relatively quick period of time. So things are not, I know they seem to be progressing slowly, but given the amount of information from where all it's coming, things are going fast in terms of discovery.
Is that what we saw you rolling into the courtroom today?
What I rolled in earlier was the city and county material that right now is being litigated as to its releasability or not. So the judge could keep those binders in his chambers. That's what I rolled in. But to get the idea of how much a terabyte is, you saw me roll in those binders. That was an incredibly small fraction, less than 1% of what would be the discovery in the matter. So you get an idea of volume and things. What's missing are things, Mr. Stingle in particular did a real good job going through discovery, and not that it's missing, it's just other information defense attorneys may want. Some of it is information from TBI scientists that, as a matter of course, is only turned over after a court order is entered and things. So it's most of it's typical type discovery that we just have to go round up and get to the attorneys.
What's the state's position on the motion to sever that was filed?
We'll take our position once it sort of becomes appropriate. It's common for defense attorneys to go ahead and file motions, even at this stage of the case when a trial hasn't been set. But a motion to sever is more like a trial motion. And when we get close to that point, we'll make our position quite clear on that.
One motion to sever at this point, Justin Smith?
There may have been two filed, but like I said, attorneys file their motions at different times. A motion to sever contemplates a trial setting. We're at the point where we're talking about ending discovery. So it's a little early to litigate any of those, but we have a quite clear position on a motion to sever, for instance, that we'll make clear at the appropriate time.
Paul, we keep hearing about this additional evidence that could be released or made public. What is this that we're possibly waiting for? What is this?
Well, it was the subject of the last hearing. There have been numerous freedom of information requests made to the city and to the county regarding personnel files and documentation and things that the city and the county have in their possession, which is not our office. That was all turned over to the court. That was the binders that you saw me rolling in. So I'd say it's probably about 3,000 pages or so of information, plus maybe about 14 or 15 additional videos relating to the case. The judge has to make a decision as to what of that is releasable to the public. We've made our position clear at the last hearing that we favor transparency and for the judge to be able to release whatever he deems he can. There's legal restrictions, though, the constitutional rights of the defendants to a fair trial and questions of privilege and things like that. So the judge has to sort that stuff out before he makes a ruling. Hopefully we'll have that ruling sooner rather than later, and there'll be some more information released to y'all.
And if and when anything is released, is that going to come through you guys, or is it going to go back to the city and they're going
It really shouldn't come from us. We've acted at the court's request to gather this information from the city and county and distribute it to the defense attorneys and to index it. I would expect that if the judge enters an order, it would be that the city and county can release this documentation or should release this documentation.
Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
You were just listening to DA Paul Hagerman talk about just how much evidence is in this case, everything they have to go through. He described it as being a terabyte worth of data. That is a ton of information, talking about what he rolled into the courtroom, just binders and folders only being a 1% of everything that they've had to go through. Again, he said nothing is missing from that August 18th discovery deadline they've given, which is about 45 days from now. He said it's just things like TBI scientists information that would only be available once a motion is filed. So he said it's nothing really missing out of that evidence that the attorneys don't have, just extra things they may need as they take this to trial.
And you heard reporters keep asking about the video, this video that could be released. And Hagerman talked about that. He said there's about 14 to 15 additional videos, but that the judge will have to decide whether or not he will release that video, more of it, to the public, and how that will actually work, because there are still legal ramifications, whether if you do or if you don't. That will be up to a judge to decide.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do want to go back now. Okay, well, we again just recapping that officers, 5 former fired officers in court this morning. Next hearing will be August 18th. This was, of course, to kind of update that discovery. We do know that the family of Tyre Nichols spoke about how difficult being in these things are. We will keep you updated, though, as this case continues to unfold. Definitely a big one here in Memphis.
It is. We'll have more for you this afternoon at 11 on ABC 24 News Midday.